A red light device can look convincing before it has done anything. It glows. It feels high-tech. It asks very little from you. Sit still for 10 minutes and let the light do the work. That is exactly why the real question is easy to miss. Most arguments about red light therapy collapse into two simple stories. One says it is a miracle, the other says it is nonsense. Both miss the person standing in the middle, trying to decide whether a device is worth their money. The more useful answer is quieter. The biology is real, some clinical uses are genuinely promising, and some marketing has moved far ahead of what has actually been shown in people, with real devices, at real doses. So this video is not asking whether red light can ever affect the body. The better question is sharper. For what purpose? At what dose? Using what device? Compared with what alternative? Once we ask that, the glow stops being magical and starts becoming measurable. The color is only the beginning. The real story is whether enough of the right light reaches the right tissue, for long enough, without going too far. In research, this field is usually called photobiomodulation. The word sounds heavy, but the idea is simple. It means using low-level red or near-infrared light to influence living cells without cutting, burning, or heating the tissue like a sauna. There are two main colors to understand. Red light is visible, and it suits targets near the surface, especially skin. Near-infrared light sits just beyond what the eye can see, and it can reach deeper structures like muscle and joint tissue. This is why one red light product can be aimed at facial skin, another at a knee, another at hair, and another at the head. They may share a color family, but they are not automatically doing the same job. It also helps to clear away three common confusions. Red light therapy is not a tanning bed because it is not ultraviolet light. It is not an infrared sauna because the main claim is not heat. And it is not photodynamic therapy where light activates a drug to damage abnormal cells. The useful optical window is often described as roughly 600 to 1100 nanometers. Red wavelengths around 660 nanometers are strongly absorbed in skin. Near-infrared wavelengths around 800 nanometers are used when the target is deeper. That physical fact is the foundation of every claim a device can make. Before asking whether red light works, we have to ask what it is trying to reach. Skin is one target. Tendon is another. A human brain behind a skull is another matter entirely. The mechanism begins with a photon, a tiny packet of light. If it reaches the right place, it can be absorbed by an enzyme inside the mitochondrion, the small structure inside the cell that helps turn food and oxygen into usable energy. That enzyme is called cytochrome C oxidase. It sits near the end of the cell's energy-making chain. When red or near-infrared light is absorbed there, the enzyme's behavior can change, and the cell may make energy a little more freely. One important detail is nitric oxide. Sometimes this small molecule clings to the enzyme and slows it down. Light can help dislodge it. The enzyme breathes more freely, and the released nitric oxide can help small blood vessels widen. The cell also receives a brief signal. A small puff of reactive oxygen species can act like a messenger rather than a weapon. That message reaches the nucleus and can switch on repair pathways, antioxidant responses, and inflammation-calming genes. This is the part that makes the biology interesting. The light is not forcing the tissue to transform. It is nudging a cell that already knows how to repair, regulate inflammation, and manage energy. The response belongs to the cell. But a mechanism is not the same thing as a result. Knowing that a cell can respond to light does not prove that a face mask, panel, helmet, or mat will deliver the right exposure for the claim on the box. This is where red light therapy becomes more careful. Cells appear to follow a biphasic dose response. Too little light does very little. A low to moderate dose may help. Too much can stop helping or even push the response in the wrong direction. That means more light is not automatically better. Brighter is not automatically better. Longer is not automatically better. The useful question is whether the target tissue receives a dose it can use. Dose is built from several pieces: wavelength, irradiance, fluence, distance, session time, treatment area, and whether the device is touching the skin. A device label that only gives wattage is leaving out much of the story. The target matters too. Skin near the surface is not the same as a knee joint. A muscle a few centimeters down is not the same as a follicle. A tissue with many mitochondria may respond differently from one with fewer. So the color on the box gives surprisingly little information. The phrase red light therapy may describe the glow. It does not tell you whether the light reaching your cells is the dose your cells can actually use. The evidence map has 3 main regions. There are areas where red and near-infrared light have earned credibility. There are areas that look plausible but unfinished. And there are areas where the claim has stretched beyond the data. Skin is one of the more plausible consumer uses. Trials have reported softer fine lines, reduced roughness, and increased collagen density after repeated treatment. Around the eyes, one trial found roughly a 30% reduction in wrinkle volume. Modest, not magical. Acne is similar. A double-blind trial of a home-use blue-red LED device reported a large reduction in inflammatory lesions. That does not mean every spot responds the same way. Inflammatory acne is not the same as blackheads and whiteheads. The strongest medical signal is quieter than the consumer adverts. In oncology supportive care, photobiomodulation has reduced painful radiation dermatitis and mouth lining damage during treatment. In one trial, moderate to severe radiation dermatitis fell by 49%. After surgery, the pattern also makes sense. The body is already in repair mode. Trials after dental surgery and eyelid surgery found reductions in pain, swelling, or anxiety. The light appears to support a repair process that is already underway. Pain is another area with real signals, especially when the target is local and inflammatory. Reviews have found benefits for neck pain, knee osteoarthritis, plantar fasciitis, and some tendinopathy. The benefit is clearer when recommended doses are used. Fibromyalgia gives a useful lesson. In one trial, light helped. Exercise helped. But light plus exercise produced the largest improvement. The honest interpretation is not replacement. It is support on top of a stronger foundation. Hair is one of the more credible wellness-adjacent uses. In pattern hair loss, light may push resting follicles toward the growing phase, widen nearby blood vessels through nitric oxide, and calm local inflammation. Trial evidence has supported improved hair growth with some devices. There are also early signals in the eye and brain, including small studies in dry age-related macular degeneration and mild cognitive impairment. These are interesting. They are not a license to treat a wellness helmet as if it were a clinical protocol. Across the better evidence, one pattern keeps repeating. The strongest wins are local, targeted, repeated, and dosed with some care. The weaker claims are broad, vague, and often attached to a device that was never tested for that promise. Now the harder part, some claims do not fail because the mechanism is fake. They fail because the claim has borrowed too much from a different study, a different device, a different dose, or a different target. Fat loss is the cleanest example. A pooled analysis of abdominal light studies found no significant change in body weight, body mass index, fat mass, or lean mass. Waist and hip measurements shifted, but that is not the dramatic fat loss story often sold online. Sleep is another leap. Some animal research explores how light at night may affect brain clearance pathways during sleep. That is fascinating. But a mouse protocol in a lab is not the same as a glowing panel beside a human bed. Mood claims need the same care. Some transcranial near-infrared protocols have shown promise, but a multi-center sham-controlled trial using very low-level light for major depression found no improvement over sham. Protocol and dose are not small details here. Sports recovery is mixed rather than blank or settled. A rugby player crossover study reported improved field test performance and short-term recovery, but trained cyclists saw no benefit before an all-out test. and trained men adding light to sprint and squat training gained nothing beyond training and passive recovery. Timing, protocol, muscle damage, and training status seem to decide whether there is room for light to add anything. Low back pain also reminds us not to generalize from one pain condition to another. Trials and reviews in chronic non-specific low back pain have not shown the same pattern of benefit. Depth, dose, and the complexity of back pain may all matter. Then there are louder claims about testosterone, vitality, immunity, and longevity. The careful response is simple. If the research base does not directly support the claim, we should not invent confidence just because the device glows. This is the consumer trap. A calibrated clinical laser study produces a real result. A consumer product emits red light. The second product quietly inherits the first study's credibility, even if the device, dose, target, and protocol are not the same. Clinical devices are built around dose. The wavelength is selected. The power is calibrated. The area, distance, and time are defined. A home device is usually built around convenience, price, and ease of use. That is a different design brief. Most of the older credibility in the field came from lasers. LEDs are not automatically inferior. They can be useful, but they deliver light differently, and a result from one setup cannot be casually transferred to another. Wattage is one of the least helpful numbers on its own. What matters is irradiance, the light hitting each square centimeter, fluence, the total delivered dose over time, and the treated area. A big number on a box can still underdeliver to the tissue. Distance and time change everything. The same panel 5 centimeters from the skin is not the same as the same panel 30 centimeters away. The same session repeated twice as often is not the same protocol. The head is a special case. Human skulls block a lot of near-infrared light. Animal brain studies often use skulls that light can penetrate much more easily. A mouse result does not automatically become a human helmet result. The eyes deserve specific caution. Some red light devices used near the eye have approached or exceeded retinal safety limits, and a published case report described retinal damage after repeated exposure with a red light laser device. Eye protection is not a bonus feature. It is a basic control. A better buying question is this: can this red light therapy device, at this dose, cover the specific target area and do the specific thing I want for someone like me? That turns a vague wellness purchase into a more honest investigation. First, match wavelength to goal. Surface skin and inflammatory acne are more plausible with deep red light. Deeper joint or muscle targets need near-infrared light. Then check irradiance and treated area, not just wattage, because a wide mat can spread energy thinly. Second, look for direct device evidence. If a brand cites a study, ask whether it used the same kind of device, similar wavelength, similar dose, similar distance, and the same condition. Then check the safety basics: CE or UKCA marking, eye protection, and manufacturer guidance on session limits. Third, treat distance and time as part of the protocol. The same panel at 5 centimeters is not the same as at 30 centimeters. The same session repeated twice as often is not the same plan. Red light therapy rewards repetition over weeks, not intensity in one sitting. Fourth, calibrate expectations before price takes over. The more believable effects are usually moderate. Skin may look slightly fresher. Pain may ease by a meaningful amount. Hair may improve gradually. Post-surgical recovery may move a little faster. These are not transformations. Some people should be more careful. That includes people with darker skin tones or pigmentation concerns, because visible light can trigger longer-lasting pigmentation at some doses. People with light-triggered skin conditions. People taking photosensitizing medicines. Autoimmune or rheumatoid conditions. Current cancer care, pregnancy, children, and anyone treating near the eyes. Most common side effects are usually mild and short-lived: warmth, temporary redness, headache, dry mouth, sleep disturbance, fatigue, or irritability, especially with head-directed sessions. but high dose changes the safety story. Safety trials at 633 nanometers found prolonged redness at 320 joules per square centimeter and above, and blistering at 480 joules per square centimeter and above. So the better map has 4 parts. The mechanism is real. The evidence is strongest when the target is local. The device details decide whether the dose is plausible, and broad promises should be treated as weaker until proven otherwise. That map leaves room for useful applications: skin, selected pain conditions, hair, and repair after surgery or injury. It also leaves room for doubt around fat loss, sleep, mood, athletic performance, testosterone, and longevity, claims that have not yet earned the same confidence. The sales copy wants the glow to carry all the meaning. Evidence asks a slower question: what actually reaches the tissue, and what has been shown when that exact kind of exposure is used? That does not tell every viewer to buy or not buy. It does something more useful. It gives the viewer a way to separate real biology, reasonable evidence, and sales copy that has wandered too far from both. For a fuller walk through the studies, safety notes, and buying checklist, the full BeSund article and supporting references are linked in the description. The point is not to be sold the brightest glow. It is to understand what the light can really do,